Another installment of Believe in Chargers with the great Lorenzo Neal. Thanks to our friends at FanDuel. Check out FanDuel for all those great future odds. And a future MVP was back on the field at OTA's low. Justin Herbert returned from cruising around Europe with his lady friend, Madison Beer, on her European tour. And I'll start with that with you. They're voluntary. You don't have to be there. But participation is always something that is covered by the media. Who's here, who's not? What does that mean? Do they like the coach? Do they not like the coach? Do they like their teammates? Are they a bad teammate? I thought Coach Harbaugh, and we can get into it a little bit more, but I'll just kind of start with you. Sort of what was your view on OTAs and on, phase one, phase two? Did you always make it a point every single season? Were you at every single thing, voluntary or non-voluntary?
I'm just happy they didn't retire. Happy that, Justin Herbert was exciting and the team is moving forward. He was there, money. He was there. Yeah. Everyone can relax now. Majority of OTAs, I would say 90 to 95% I was there. There were some family issues at times, that of course it's excusable, but most of the times it's great to show, especially your quarterback. You want those guys there. They're the leader of your team. And let's be real. Justin Herbert loves football. This is probably a good thing for him to know the guy's human and he would do it for love. He's like Michael Jackson. I did it for love. So he finally missed something. So it's great that he's so, hey, look, this is a person that I'm thinking about, spending a lot of quality of my life with. I'm going to go do this. And I know that made her feel great. It probably was great for him too, just to know that, hey, he cares. And football is not the only thing that's important in his life.
Yeah, we've seen it. I've talked about this before, but I do think there is something about Coach Harbaugh and the way he handles these things. Because, look, I've been covering this particular team now for 10 years. This is my 10th year. But prior to that, I was doing games nationally for, I think, another 6 years. So been around a lot of these press conferences, OTAs, the way head coaches treat players not showing up. And typically, look, because it's voluntary, they can't call the player out. They'll get fined. The team will get fined. There'll be a grievance filed by the NFLPA because they are voluntary. So the players can miss, and there's nothing you can say about it, but they would use coded language. We'd love for everybody to be here, but we understand, some guys just can't make it, but it is great to have everyone here. That's kind of the game they play to let it know they're not happy. And, Jim Harbaugh didn't do that. Instead, it was the 180-degree opposite. Like, yeah, man, when he asked me if he can get out of here for a couple of weeks, I was like, I'll drive you to the airport. Get out of here, man. Go. She supports you at your football games. You go support her on her European tour, man. That's what this is all about. Balance. And it's just a reminder that I just think Jim Harbaugh's different, man. He's so different than a lot of other coaches in the way he supports his players and will attack anyone that wants to attack his guys, and he will support, no matter what the circumstances, his guys. And I think it's one of the reasons why you see Justin Herbert, like he said, it was such a great explanation, right? If anybody had an issue with him missing, a week and a half, he's like, hey, man, this guy busted his hand. And he was at practice the next day, and that Sunday he's stiff-arming a guy with that glove on. That's how committed to football this guy is. So don't you dare, kind of like how dare you media guy with your stupid computer, call this guy out when we know how tough he is inside the building.
Oh, no question, man. Another guy, may rest in peace, Marty Schottenheimer. I have twin daughters, and I think you might have known one of them suffers from Darvettes. And so they were born, and we had issues at the hospital, and Marty's like, come out to practice. Lorenzo, get out of here. Go home. We'll see you. Don't even come back tomorrow. Still got to play in the game on Sunday. You have those coaches. You've seen coaches that are like that. Marty was another guy. I mean, Jeff Fisher, hey, go take care of your family. There's a lot of coaches. Even Jim Moore, who's uptight and playoffs, that if there was a family issue, and hey, he wanted OT, of course, you didn't have to come then either, but it was looked at, hey, we want guys, if you're available, you need to be here. And guys knew. Now, if it's a guy that's a slap, that's not showing up, it's missing, that's late for meetings and all those things, let's be real. Coach Harbaugh, during the season or during training camp, he'll ride that dude and probably cut the guy. Or that's just That's just, but you're a good person, and this is not the behavior you exuberate all the time. Look, coaches have to be understanding. They want you around your family. So I've had some great coaches, and I've had some hard coaches. Tony Dungy, another great guy. Hey, go take care of your family. Hey, do those things. So there's a lot of coaches that have that same sentiment. Now, they know close to game time, they got to have their big horses, and that's just the way it is. But Justin Herbert has shown who he is, like you just talked about, stiff arming a guy 4 days after he breaks his hand. The kind of commitment he has to this team and this organization. So I think a lot of people just want to see the big guy there because they know what it means to this team and this organization, but they have no understanding of behind the scenes how much this guy's probably was getting OTAs, what they're sending over to him, emailed over to him, or he's probably already has brought his his computer with him watching plays. So because he has some dead time. That's what you do. So he's a student of the game. Justin Herbert wants to be great. I think this was just, it was a great talking piece for some of the people in the media, but guys who know it like you and I around this guy and seen this guy and know what Harbaugh stands for, there's nothing. There's nothing to it.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to put it, Lo, the way you described it, because there are guys, look, and I'll say his name, and he's one of my favorite guys I've ever, had a chance to be around and cover, and that's Joey Bosa. But Bosa didn't like coming to OTAs, and he wanted to work out with Nick, his brother, in Florida with their personal trainer, and it chapped a lot of asses, man. Like, people were like, what makes you so special? All right, fine. You feel like I feel like I'm getting more. I feel like I get more I'm more intense. I'm working harder. It's more important for me to be. And I noticed, once the Chargers traded for Khalil Mack, all of a sudden Joey's at OTAs. Joey's at all the volunteers, because I think someone like Khalil is able to grab him and pull him aside and say, hey, man, you're the highest paid defensive end in the league.
Right.
You can't be working out on your own. Like, whatever you may think, that's a bad message that you're sending to the rest of the team, because why the hell should they be here? If you're not here, why should they be here? Like, that ain't the way this works. So I think there is that balance. I think for Herbert, it's like, I've got someone I care a lot about, and she's about to launch this European tour, and I'd really like to be with her. And I'm here, for phase one. I'm going to be here for all that, but I'd like to take this little no problem, dude. You're here the entire offseason. You're working with guys in the offseason. You're at every practice. Good. Go on. Would we like you here? Sure, we would. It'd be cool to have you here. But like, and so I do think there is a difference,
You're absolutely right. And McDaniels wanted him there. Let's be honest. But they're a uniform front. Look, they all want Khalil Mack there, but they're a uniform. Right. There's certain guys that could be missing, Derwin James, the defense, even though you have the same mindset type of defense, it's a new DC. So guys want to buy in, understand what they're doing. So yes, do they want him there? Of course they did. But do they understand? Yes. Are they going to hold it against him? No. Do they understand how vital he is? Say, look, this is going to be a tough season. We got to start off hard. We got to start off running. And look, other teams are getting those extra days in. But do we have a guy that's smart enough? Does he have the competency, the character, credibility, all the mental capacity to be able to handle it? Absolutely. Is he going to be able to get up to speed and have the offense humming before training camp? And, with these OTAs and mandatory minicamp, what type of effort is he going to put in it now? And you know the answer, and I know the answer. The guy's going to be there extra. He's going to stay there later. He's going to ask receivers for, hey, give me some extra time. And guess what they're going to say? Of course we will. They're going to buy in.
Yeah, and I'm glad that he was back, because it was, instead of phase one, phase two, I think people don't know what that means. And it's like, whatever. But when you hear OTAs, people know what organized team activities are, and that you expect everyone to be there. And he was there. And so to me, the story's now, that book is chapters ended, on to the next one. He looked great out there. There's not really a lot to see. There's no contact. So it's just kind of reps, running through plays, seeing things, working through things. As I kind of get the notebook out. And
was it joking when he showed up? Was guys laughing? Was the atmosphere different, or was it like, hey, no big deal?
We get walked out a little bit later. So they're already kind of through their initial stretch. They're just kind of finishing up stretch when we get to, when the doors are open and we walk out. So they've probably already been on the field for, I would guess, half hour, 45 minutes by the time we get walked out. because we get to watch practice,
Yeah.
like they're just finishing up stretch and now they're individual. And then basically when we get walked out, they're in individual drills and then they're in team drills and then they're done. And it's very short. Like it's not, they have it scheduled like, hey, it starts. What's that?
You can only, there's a certain amount of time. You can't be out there with a certain amount of time.
Yeah. You can't be out there for more than 2 hours. It's less than it, but like in terms of practice, like once they get done stretching, I would say it's no more than, I don't know, 60 to 70 minutes is about what, it's not a lot. It's individual drills and then, a lot of special teams and then some team drills. And I'll say this, man, and individual drills, I was watching a lot of offense today or yesterday. We're recording this on a Thursday, so it was Wednesday I was out there. And like to me, the most fun, I don't know if most fun is right, but the most interesting watch is offensive line, just because of how different it looks with Butch Berry and Nick Hardwick coaching O-line, and with Mike McDaniel and the way they want this O-line to play. These guys low, and I'm sure you've operated in all offenses, whether it's gap and power or wide zone or but the outside zone and the wide zone that they're running, man, these guys are flying around the field, man. Like you're watching Rashawn Slater pop up out of his stance and sprint into guys 10, 15 yards laterally. And it's just over and over. I would say of all the position groups, no one's getting worked harder right now than O-line. Like these guys, they look like they're getting put through the ringer, man. I imagine 300, between 300 and 340 pounds of constant just explode, move. Like there's so much of that for that 10, 15-minute period. And you just kind of get the sense that this is a different way of playing offensive line, and we got to get every one of these reps and all of this stuff in there. And it's been pretty, whatever you may think, the people that are watching or listening right now, whatever you may think about the offensive line signings, just understand from my perspective, my opinion is it looks so different. It's hard to evaluate and hard to have an opinion because of how different this looks than any offensive line drills I've watched this team go through in the previous 9 camps.
Yeah, I could imagine, because the way this offense, all the different moving parts, this offense makes you cover every blade of grass defensively. That's what you saw how it makes spreads people, because you got misdirection. You got guys sprinting to spots and trying to beat defenders to spots. And it's like, okay, boom. So now what you do is you cause the middle, everything else to spread. And now the back has more room to cut and see it, because it's spreading out the defense, because of the way the offense is running in such speed to a spot or to a zone or to a man. It causes the defense to say, oh my God, I got to get there before I won't get reached. I got to get there before I won't get hooked. And they think they're getting hooked and trying to get reached, and all they're doing is just spreading the hole to give the offense more room to work with. So it is. These guys got to be in shape to be able to play in this offense, because it's a lot of sprinting and a lot of getting to areas and downfield blocks and cutting off defenders. So you're gonna have to be able to move to keep up with them.
Yeah, and and I'll say this: like you can just see that it looks different when you see Rashawn Slater and Joe all moving like that. Like if they're going to get these tackles in shape, and these tackles are as good as they are, they're going to be, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with. I got the roster out because I just write down numbers. It's too hard to write down names, so I just want to make sure I got it right. First team O-line was Oshika was the starting left guard, the guy they signed out of Detroit. Coyote Oshika started with Slater, Biotish, Cole Strange, and Joe Alt. That was the first group that came out. Jake Slaughter, their pick, their second round pick. After traded back, the center from Florida ended up rolling with the second group. And then one of the other developments, I think, was that Branson Taylor, remember who they drafted in the 6th round last year out of Pittsburgh, tackle, kicked him into guard, played guard in that Broncos game in week 18 and looked okay back at tackle. And he was Rashawn, like Alt basically did everything. So he looks like he's well on the mend from his ankle injuries last year. He was basically out there for all of his regular rotation reps. Slater was about 50%. So, and I think with an injury like that, with your patellar, like that makes sense. Like what's the point of rushing this guy? Just make sure he's completely healed. You don't need him until the second week of September, really. So just take it easy. But he was out there for individuals, and he was out there for a couple of the team drills, but not all of them.
What about Brace? Did Slater? Let's talk about these guys. Did they have? Yeah. Is the team kind of moving in the direction? Because a lot of teams I played for, and you've seen a lot of teams, money, that it's kind of mandatory that the offensive line wear knee braces. You see a lot of teams in the league that say, "Hey, there's no exceptions. We're doing it." Has the new offensive coordinator said anything like that, or you don't?
I haven't seen them. No, I have not seen the braces. So look like they're just kind of now. Maybe that'll come out when contact is introduced, but for now, no braces. You would assume if that was going to be the case that they would be wearing them to get used to them, right? So did not see that. But Taylor looked pretty good, moved pretty well, and so that's interesting to see if he's going to make this team. They got a lot of guys now. They got a lot of offensive linemen. Not all of them are going to make the team. A handful of them are going to be kicked down to the practice squad. You got 11 new guys, 14 guys out there.
Wow.
So, you're probably talking about 4 to 5. Are they going to carry 9 or 10? It's going to be one of the two. I don't imagine they would carry 11. That's going to be tough to do. So I would guess 9 or 10. So you're talking about pretty stiff competition. It was interesting. Their rookie, Logan Taylor, played both tackle and guard.
Oh,
he was. So, the guy we talked about that they were excited about, he played outside at left tackle with the third stringers, and he was playing inside at guard with the third stringers as well. Slaughter ended up kind of some first team reps, some second team reps. So as they try to transition him from what am I trying to say? From center. Gosh, think about it, man. From center to guard. He did not. I don't believe I saw him take any snaps at center. I don't think. I could be wrong on that, but I'm almost positive it was just Biotish and Kaltenberger, and they had one other center out there, Jacob Spomer, your guy out of Fresno State, Lo. A UDFA out of Fresno State, Jacob Spomer, was taking the third team reps at center. So I think they're fully committed. And that was an interesting question about Slaughter, right? Like, who's the backup center?
Right.
If Biotish goes down, are you going to give enough reps to Slaughter where he's now the center and he can just kick over, or are you going to have a backup? So I would imagine as we kind of get on into OTAs and into minicamp, you'll probably see him start to take some reps there too.
Yeah, you're going to have to, because if something goes down, you're going to say, look, we want to make sure this guy has had some reps at center. And that's why you probably didn't see him at all, because of the fact that he played it in college and he's played it a lot. So it's like, look, let's get him concentrated on a position that we see him playing more guard, but center, he's already knows. So I think that's some of the reasons that you can say, look, let's go more with guard, because we know this guy can already play center.
Yeah, and I think that's, but again, like when we talked about drafting him, we said, like, look, you're going to need a backup center. Like, you can't just rely, like there isn't really one on the team,
Right.
Last year, for all of the issues that Bozeman had, he played every snap until week 18 when Andre James came in. So you didn't really have to worry about it. I don't know how viable Kaltenberger is as a backup center. So I would imagine I'm just kind of going through my notes here. I'm trying to figure out if, let's see, Biotish center. Yeah, so Slaughter did work at center. He worked at center with the second team offense. Okay. So that's right, because when Logan Taylor was kicking back and forth between guard and tackle, Slaughter was at center. So there you go. Corrections and retractions on me. For some reason, I was stuck on that. I didn't have it in my fancy notes, which you can see look like just complete gibberish as I was trying to put it together. And as you can see with my handwriting, sometimes it takes me a minute to piece that all back together. So yeah. So I think that was sort of one of the bigger takeaways. I thought Q looked really good running his routes. There was no Lad McConkey. He wasn't practicing, but it was fun to watch him and Brennan Thompson. Brennan was on his shoulder the whole time, just picking his brain about stuff. And the two of them were hanging out quite a bit as Brennan was out there getting his reps as well. But, Q and Trey were getting the majority of the targets from Herbert on that first team offense and looked pretty darn good.
Yeah, and you want to see you, and that's great that Q is picked up where he left off. There's a guy that a lot of the fans we knew, hey, are they going to pick up his 5th-year option? What are they going to do with Q? And here Q is, living his best life. Has really made some huge strides, and he's their true number 2. He's a guy, of course, we know what Ladd can do in the slot.
Yeah.
Move Ladd all over the place. He's hard to go. You can't guard him. You got to bracket him, all the different things, the nightmare he causes for defense. But I think Q is just to watch Q develop and continue to grow as a receiver and as a veteran receiver. I think it's a breath of fresh air. And just to see this coaching staff kind of embrace him, and you just see him playing. You saw it last year, playing with way more confidence, way more swagger, that attitude. Written and willing to turn the page. Early in his career, you see him have a drop and then lead to another drop, and you just saw him down. Now it's like boom. It's expected to catch the ball. He's expecting something. Boom. All right, next play. I'm going to make it up to you. So it's great to see that. And it's great that, at OTAs, you see this guy, that Justin Herbert is saying, look, let's go, Q. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think beyond the, pass catchers aren't just wide receivers, right? It's not just Q. It's tight ends. And we saw a lot of 13 out there. We saw a handful of 3 tight end sets. And I think that's, when you sign Njoku and you have the pass catching ability of Oronde Gadsden, and you have the blocking ability of Charlie Kohler, I do think that's going to be a regular feature. We know that there's been so much made out of Sean McVay and his shift to 13 personnel and how many tight ends they're drafting and signing and how important they've been. Ferguson 2 years ago, signing Parkinson, was it 2 years ago, I think, as well, or maybe 3 years ago? I think it was 3 years ago they signed Parkinson, drafted Ferguson in the 2nd round. I believe they drafted another tight end, if I remember right, this year. And that was something that McVay's talked about quite a bit, sort of the evolution of going from a lot of 11 to all this 13. And look, it, Lo, it's just one side gets the advantage, then the other side reacts, the other side gets the advantage, now the other side reacts, and it's just basically we're going to put all this speed on the field, and now you got to essentially play a nickel as your base and a lot of dime, and you may not have the depth at those positions, so now we have the advantage. Okay, now you've built a roster around all this speed. Well, guess what? Here we come. We're going to run the ball, and we're going to run a bunch of 13.
Right.
And so I do think that's going to probably be. I don't know how much they'll feature it, but there were definitely a handful of reps out there with Kohler, Gadsden, and Njoku getting after it.
Oh, without a doubt. How do you see them employing these tight ends? If you said 12 personnel, of course it's going to be Kohler. He brought him in from Baltimore, guy that can catch the ball and underutilized there. How do you think what you've seen, or is it too early to say it's Njoku? It's going to go with Gasson. I know Gasson, necessarily you can line him out, split him out. He can do some great things for you too. But how do you think if it's just 12, would you edge it now, or it's just too close, or you don't have it?
I think Lo, it's probably. I think Kohler is your primarily blocking tight end. I don't think anyone's going to be able to take that from him. So if you want a tight end attached out there, it's probably going to be Kohler. I think if you have just one tight end out there, it could be Njoku because he can do a little bit of either. I think he's, we're not dinging Gadsden or anything by saying that Njoku's the better blocker than he is, and Kohler's certainly better than either of them. And I think that's what makes it interesting, right? Is you have sort of each of them can do, like Gadsden is a willing blocker. That's a word you always hear, right? He's not a guy that just wants to be on the outside and is adverse to blocking. Like, he wants to get after it. He's still perfecting that craft because he was a wide receiver, worked his way into tight end, and, wasn't really asked to do that at Syracuse. So it's something he's just getting used to. But he's a big dude, man. It ain't like Gadsden is one of these skinny, it's just kind of like a heavy wide receiver. That is not what he is. He's a big freaking guy, man. He's 250 plus pounds. So, yeah, it's not like, and I was trying to, sorry, because I can't focus. Max Clare was the guy they just drafted. So, like, they got Tyler Higbee, Terrence Ferguson, Colby Parkinson, Max Clare, all on that Rams team. They got 4 tight ends. That's kind of what Sean McVay has done to sort of morph this offense, this Shanahan-style offense, to try to gain an advantage. Gadsden right now he's listed at 236 on our lads, but that doesn't seem right. I thought he put on some.
How tall is he?
Put on some weight.
How tall is he? 6'3", 6.
He is, I would say, a legit 6'5".
Wow.
Let's see. He is. Yeah, they got him listed at 236 on the Chargers roster too. So maybe I was giving him too many pounds. 6'5", 236. Kohler is listed at 6'6", 250. Yeah, and Gadsden's not as big as Kohler, so that makes sense. So but
Right.
still, I mean, 230s. He ain't.
He's still back. 236 is not light. That's not small. And
I mean,
thought he can move.
And that's the thing about Njoku too. I mean, so you're talking about 6'4", 250. Like he's, as the kids say, he's a unit.
Yeah.
There is so they each kind of have a little bit of a different, kind of long, a little bit leaner. I'm not going to call a guy who's 6'5", 236 lean. He's definitely got some mass to him, but it was fun to see all three of them out there, just kind of running around and what Mike McDaniel might be able to do with those sets.
Oh, I'm gonna tell you right now, you get 13 personnel with those three guys, but all three of them can run. You look at Gaston. What are you gonna do at 6'5", 236 pounds? He's gonna out jump a safety. Linebackers he's too much foot speed. And Njoku, you know what he does inside the red zone. He's a catching machine. He's fast, agile, can run. I think that you will see a lot of 13, and you can run the ball out of that. Now you put, you're talking about, Kohler out there being a blocker, have him blocking. Now you got freaking Maury and Hampton in the backfield, and you still got these other two tight ends that split, or make it look like 12-1 detached. That's a handful. That's a handful for defense.
I mean, I'm kind of digging into the Rams because I didn't think we were going to go down this road. So sorry for looking off camera for those of you watching. But so last year, Colby Parkinson, 8 touchdowns. Terrence Ferguson, 3 touchdowns. Davis Allen, tight end, 3 touchdowns. Tyler Higbee, tight end, 3 touchdowns. Like, these are weapons, man, in the red zone. You're talking about, 17 touchdowns from tight ends for the Rams last year. And I think that's something that Mike McDaniel, I would assume, when you think about last year for him in Miami with Darren Waller, see what Miami did last year, tight end-wise. They ended up with, let's see. So they had Darren Waller, team lead, 6 touchdowns at the tight end position. And then Dulcich, they didn't really have a great tight end group with 1. And they really didn't have a lot of passing touchdowns. But still, to have the tight end that only played in 9 games lead your team in touchdowns, it tells you that he likes those big targets, those big bodies in the red zone, and can scheme them open. So I do think that was something that was interesting, that jumped out. And then, let's see, Khalil Mack. All right, so I think that's pretty much all I had from watching practice. I was curious about the offensive line and how they lined him up. So there's that. Khalil Mack hit the presser, and, we kind of brought up that it's his 5th year with the Chargers. That's more. He was with the Bears for 4, the Raiders for 4. So now he'll have been with the Chargers for more years. And,
any team,
we tried to kind of lead him to that sort of, what team most related. But and I think he just came out and said it low. He's like, look, I love it here, man. They've treated me great. My family loves living here. This is home for us. And he said, it's not just for me. I think he's such an insightful guy, man. Like, he's so quiet and he's so big and kind of intimidating that you don't really think about that with Khalil. But like, when he gets rolling, he can really drop some nuggets. And he said, look, it's not just about me wanting this for myself. He's like, I feel like I owe it to this organization. They've taken care of me. I've found a home here. I want to give it to them. Like, I want to win the Super Bowl for this team, for this organization, for the Spanos family, for Coach Harbaugh. Like, that's why I came back, because I think I can help them win one, and that's what I want to do. For all the teammates, for Ben Herbert, he brought up Ben Herbert. He's like, for Coach Herb, like, for all these guys, man, he goes, that's why I came back, because I think I can help them win one. And, that's a two-way street. It's not just about me winning playoff games in a Super Bowl. It's about me feeling like I have this responsibility to give it to them. He's excited about his new coaches. Talked about the differences between Jesse Minter and Chris O'Leary. And then he just clamped up, like maybe he thought he wasn't supposed to say anything. He's like, yeah, a little bit of a scheme difference. Oh, really? Like what? Maybe there's not really a scheme difference. So he did say about Mike McDaniel that dude he's obviously he's a different kind of guy, but he said, I just feel like he thinks and sees things differently than any other OC that I've been around. He said that it's the toughest it's the toughest task that he's faced to figure out an offense.
Yeah.
Since he's been doing this. He's like, I'm trying to figure it out. He's like, and man, that dude does a lot of stuff that I get it now, man. It can really be confusing. And then he did mention that he talked a little bit of business with Tuli, knowing that his contract's coming up, and just kind of making sure that he's square on that front. And then he just gave some advice. He was asked what he tells the new guys that come in, and I think this is something that can apply to your everyday, whoever's listening and whatever you do in your life. He just said, take the day-to-day serious. Like, don't just take the game serious. Understand that every day that we're here, that we're in the facility, that we're at practice, that we're in walkthroughs, that we're in meetings, like, don't just blow those off. Like, that's the most important thing for you to focus on and give it your complete attention and your focus, and to take those things seriously. That every last one of those meetings and practices and walkthroughs are so important to what happens in what you think is important, and that's the game. And if you don't treat everything else with the same level of importance, just to use the same word again, he goes, it ends up getting away from you.
Yeah, and I totally understand when you're talking money. I'm just thinking about, there's so many things I'd have been different. I would have took it even more serious. I took it serious, but it's like, man, to be able to have that type of insight, to be able to tell guys, hey man, just don't worry. The game will take care of itself. He was saying it's going to take care of itself, but practice won't. These walkthroughs won't. If you take care of these walkthroughs and know every detail and what's going on, who's doing what and why they're doing it, it makes your job easier. And then when you hear him you're talking about, hey, with McDaniels, man, trying to figure it out. Because he's a veteran type of guy that's saying, if I know this offense, here's what they're doing on this play. Now I can cut it loose. I know it's a 4-step, 5-step drop, 6-step drop, 7-step. I know I got to get there because this is what they're doing, this is their set. But when he's saying McDaniels, the way that he's doing certain things, it's like, dude, now you got to stop your feet. That's why you look at the Niners when hey, the little kiddos have an unbelievable with McDaniels, because of the fact all the different mismatch, all the different things, what it looked like run, looked like pass, and you saw Kittle. How can you let a guy that good run down the field wide open? It's because of design. And now defenders, they stop their feet. You watch, Niners never really had a great line, but why were they able to protect the quarterback? Because of the scheme. And that's what you heard. That's what I'm listening when I'm hearing, Khalil talk. It's like, man, let me figure this out. When you're a defense and you don't know, hey, I got to rush passive. I got to be passive. I got to think run on the way to the quarterback because they can get you. I got to think screen on the way to the quarterback, or I got to think draw on the way. So now you're thinking about all these different elements, and you're not pinning your ears back and getting the pressure on the quarterback. So when you're hearing Khalil say these things, there's more to it what he's saying. He said, I got to figure it out to help my game to understand, if we see it, this team, we see it, I know what they're doing, the tendencies. So when you're hearing a guy like that say, hey, this thing's tough to figure out, that says a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, he and Derwin, of course, got the extension. I mean, we should certainly address that. That to me was something that had to be done. Priority one. You can't have a coach and a front office and teammates say that, when you've got Harbaugh saying, what's my message to the team? Look at number 3 and do what he does. Do what Derwin does. Just whatever he does, you do that, and we'll be good. We'll win a lot of games if you can just take that simple instruction. So when you're saying that, when you have everybody on the team talk about how he is the soul of the team, he's the heartbeat of the team, and on top of that, he's one of the best players in football, not just one of the best safeties, one of the best players in football. You pay him. When his contract is up, you pay the guy. You don't have a protracted negotiation. You don't have him skip OTAs because he's not happy with the number. You just pay him, and I credit Joe Ortiz and the Spanos family for just saying, yeah, man, Derwin's not someone we're going to mess with. Let's just make him the highest paid safety in the league, which clearly was the negotiation for David Mulligetta that hey, Kyle Hamilton, all right, give us $100,000 more and let's go. And that's what it was, and it's a 3-year deal. And I don't know how the thing's going to break down because they have this cap space, did they front load it a little bit? And on the back end, when he's 33 years old, is there maybe an escape hatch if things get a little weird? So I don't know, but it's 57 guaranteed. He's the highest paid safety in football, and he is absolutely deserving of it. Whatever you think of his level of play, he is way too important to this team that, to not have in the fold. And Derwin is not someone you ever want to see in a different uniform. That guy's a Charger, man. He's one of the all-time greats, and you would expect him to play his entire career here.
Yeah, and it looked like it's going to happen. When you see that extension come through, it's great to hear you, Money, just convey that, hey, this team didn't want the front office to Ortiz. I said, we're not messing around with this guy. We're going to pay him. We're going to make him the highest paid, whether it's by $1, $2, we don't care. We want him to feel wanted. We want him to feel, hey, not looking over shoulders, oh, they screwed me. And that's who Derwin is. Derwin's a guy, he plays with his emotions. The guy's a leader. He's always there. He's accountable. He holds himself accountable. He holds the defense accountable. He's one of those guys, you just look, you hear him talk, when you hear his pressers and you watch him, he plays the game like it's meant to be played. He plays with that joy. He plays with that swagger. He's just that guy. You're like, okay, he's smiling, but he's got that switch. He's got that dog in him, and he makes everyone around him better, man. So it's kudos to this Charger organization, just doing the right thing and taking care of the guys that you need to take care of.
Yeah, I mean, look, the numbers are there. It's 3 interceptions last year. It's 2 sacks. It's a forced fumble. The year before, it's 5.5 sacks, a fumble recovery, an interception, a bunch of stuff, like 93 and 94 tackles. It's all – and to me, like with Derwin, the stats don't necessarily tell the whole story. It's just how he affects the game. That guy times up his blitzes, man. And you may not see – you'll see the pressures. I can pull up the pressure numbers. But he affects plays like third downs. It might not be a sack. You may not see it in the general numbers, but you'll see it in the advanced numbers. Let me just get into pass rushing. So I mentioned he had 5.5 sacks, and he's a safety, and Derwin ended up with 15 pressures. 15 pressures and just 1 sack. His win percentage was 12%. To put that in perspective, right? Like, we feel like Justin Herbert took a pretty good step last year. His win percentage was 7%. Now, granted, he's rushing a lot more, so those numbers are going to even out. But like Khalil was at 15, Tuli 13 sacks. His win percentage 12%. Derwin 11.8%. Like, that's what we're talking about. When that dude's coming, he's so good at it, man. He is so good at just timing that thing up and wrecking a play. So it's things like that maybe don't necessarily show up. He had 7 hurries. He had, like I said, the 15 pressures, 5 quarterback hits, a 19.7% pressure rate. So that was his win percentage, right? His 19.7 pressure rate on those pass rushes, which were a total of 76. He rushed the passer 76 times. 19.7 was higher than Always 17, Tuli 17.5, and Khalil 17. He's just really good at it. And so I think those sort of advanced numbers help tell the tale of how he impacts the play when he's at the line of scrimmage.
Oh, without a doubt. You just watch him. It's just like he anticipates he can get off on the count. And he's always disruptive. And that's what you're saying. Okay, it's the pressures, but he's disruptive. The quarterback's scrambling out of the pocket. The quarterback, he goes from his 1 to 2 to 3. He doesn't have time to look at his second read. He doesn't have time sometimes to look at his first read because he's just beat the guy right off the snap that the quarterback's running out there just to get rid of the ball. So there's so many things that Derwin does that make others around him better, that he might not get the sack, but he forces the quarterback to roll into a more pressure to the other side. Yeah. He does so many things, like you said, in the box. He can also go guard a tight end, shut down guys like Travis Kelce. He can play man-to-man coverage. What can he do? You're talking about 90 tackles. Here's a guy that's safety, getting 93, 94 tackles. He can play in the box. He's a run stopper. He can take on a fullback. He can take on a tight end. The guy is pretty amazing. I mean, sometimes he can if you told me Derwin James, they're going to start him at linebacker, guess what? I'll say, okay.
Cool.
Who says no? Because that's the type of player and that's the type of mentality that he has.
959 snaps last year. 959. Dayon played 993. He played the most. Derwin second most. 959. And like that's the thing about Derwin too is you can play him at free, you can play him box, you can play the majority of the time he's playing slot corner. And he's one of the best slot corners in the league. And like you said, Lope, dime backer, designated pass rusher. You know, hey, Derwin, today we need you to carry Brock Bowers. No problem, man. I'm with him step for step. I'm inside his freaking jersey all game long, you know. Hey, Derwin, we need you to play slot against one of these little slot receivers. No problem. I'll rough that dude up, man. He ain't getting off the line of scrimmage. Like, to have a Swiss, you know, a Swiss Army knife like that where you don't have to use sub package. You don't have to run guys in and out when the offense knows kind of like, okay, got a smaller slot corner in here now. Let's attack him with the tight end. Let's run a little motion here. No, like Derwin's got you covered, man. You just leave him out there. Leave him out there and tell him where to stand.
1,000 plays. That is crazy. 900 some play. Second most on the team. Wow.
Second most on the team.
I'm off the field.
Right. Let me look at his, just kind of to do the whole career view. 959 last year. 1,059 the year before.
That's crazy.
1,001 the year before, 909 the year before, 961 the year before that. Like,
wow.
I mean, it's and when you go through the grades last year, got dinged for the Commanders game. That was a rough one. He only played 59. I think did he get ejected from that game? I remember something weird there's something weird in that Commanders game. Yeah, like basically played his tail off, man, all year long. 65, 57, 61, 64, 47, 59, 60, 59, 59, 76 snaps against the Giants.
Wow.
70 snaps against the Raiders. Like, yeah, dude. What's the best ability?
Availability.
Yeah, there it is, man. There it is in spades. So that's how you end up getting, you know, at 29, he's going to be 30 at the start of this season. His birthday's August 3rd. He's going to end up be a 30-year-old. And, you know, sometimes those positions, wide receiver, defensive back, you get on the wrong side of 30 and get away from him. But I think he plays in a way that it's not a problem. It's not a problem at all. I mean, look at Jalen Ramsey, right? Was arguably the best outside corner in the league. Hit 30, starts to get away from you a little bit. What do? Kick him into slot, play him at some safety, and now he's back to being one of the best, you know, defensive backs in the game because they've kind of been able to do that. Derwin's done it his whole career.
And he takes care of himself. Derwin takes care of
himself. Oh, God.
You see, he's built like a friggin' rock. And he's
stupid.
Shape. He understands his body's everything. He takes great care of himself. So this guy's not going to fall off a cliff. It might be gradually. Yeah, he might, you know, lose a step here and there, but he makes it up with this technique. He makes it up with his smarts. He understands with his anticipation, makes it up with his craftiness. So a lot of things Derwin does already. It's not that he's just the fastest guy, but it's his technique. Like you said, okay, go guard this corner, this receiver. What does he do? He smothers him, get inside of it and say, hey, look, I'm not letting you get off the line. So it's not that he's getting to use his speed. He's using his technique and what he knows how to make that advantage. And so now when the quarterback's trying to throw it, he's still on the line. Now he can't look at that first read. So Derwin understands football. He really does.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a no-brainer. Next up is going to be the Tuli deal, and the Tuli deal is going to be a little bit more interesting because he had such a breakout year last year with 13 sacks. So it's kind of one of those where do his agents see him? Where does the front office see him? I mean, you got Will Anderson making $50 million a year as an edge. Micah Parsons making 46.5, Aiden Hutchinson 45, TJ Watt 41, Daniil Hunter 40, Myles Garrett 40, Max Crosby at 35.5, Nick Bosa at 34, Chris Jones at 31.7. You know, that's kind of your highest paid defensive lineman. Obviously, Chris Jones an interior, but he does work from the edge at times, and we know that Tuli kicks inside. And so to me, I think that's probably what you're looking at. I think you're looking at the bottom end of that there. You know, Trayvon Walker at 27.5, Josh Hines-Allen at 28. Like, I think that's probably the range with a little
28 to 35? You think 28 to 35 or 28 to 40? Or you would say 30 to 40?
I think 30. I think 30. My guess is the agents are asking for the 40 number, and the Chargers are saying, how about the 28 number? And there's a giant gap there. And then they got to figure out where to meet in the middle. I think Trayvon Walker's a pretty good one to look at, but Trayvon has not had a 13-sack season. He got 4 years, 110, 20 signing, 50 guaranteed. It's a former number 1 overall pick. So I think my guess is the Chargers were probably like, man, this looks pretty good to us. What do you think? And they're probably saying, hey, Trayvon Walker ain't have 13 sacks, dude. And he didn't have 8.5 the year before that. So that ain't happening. How about who else had 13 sacks last year? How about TJ Watt? He's at 41 million. It's like former defensive player of the year. We're going to need a little bit more than just one season of 13 sacks to get you to 41. And then dot. Max Crosby's at 35.5. I think it's under Nick Bosa's number at 34. So my guess is it's probably in that 30 to 32 range.
Do you play it out? What do you, if you're as a player, what do you think? Or do you think he plays it out? Or do you think they meet to say, look, let's get this over with. Let's not fight over.
I mean, Tuli, he's such a nice guy. I can totally see him.
I know he is. I'm with you. And Tuli, like, man, I just want to go play football.
Exactly.
I'm having fun. But the agent goes, I got to take care of you. Do you see it? Going after your money? You hate to get their money like you're like, oh, don't do this to me, Lo.
I just think Tuli is, to me, I think Tuli would, and I don't think it's the team taking advantage of him. I think it's a fair deal. I think Tuli would be like, how much am I getting? You're guaranteed $70 million. $70 million, no matter what. Yeah, let's do that. Oh, I think I'm okay with that. Give me my 30 per year and give me 70 guaranteed. Give me. To me, that makes sense. Give me 4 years, 124, 31 per. 30 guaranteed at signing. What would the guarantee would be? Where are we at? 80, 60, 50. Yeah, 50 guaranteed at signing, 20 signing bonus, and let's go. That to me. So here's the Jalen Phillips deal is in. Here you go. Jalen Phillips, I think, is a pretty good one, right? Now, he was in free agency, so that makes it a little bit different. It's not a team, because he was traded from the Dolphins to the Eagles, and then he hit free agency. So he's 4. It's basically what I said. It's 120. 60 guaranteed. There it is. To me, I think that makes some sense. Let me see what because he is a hell of a player, man. To me, let me see. Sorry, folks. I know I can be a nightmare with this stuff. JAE. Thanks for that. So Jalen, let's see what these 4 years look like.
Right.
Because that's the thing. Like Tuli's people are going to say, hey, 4.5, 8.5, 13. Like he is, and he's
his trajectory upsides, right?
Yeah. 0 injuries. So here's Jalen. He is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in 5 seasons because he was a first round pick. So yeah, so we had the extra. So he went 8.5, 7, 6.5. Missed, and that 6.5 is in an injury season, only played 8 games, only played 4 games in 24, and then last year ended up with 5. So they're probably saying, yeah, dude, I got a 13 over here, bud. Let's kind of get this more in step with the 40 mil. So yeah, it could be a little bit tougher than that. But see, then you got Josh Hines Allen, who's making 28 a year, that had a 17.5 sack season.
Wow.
So to me, Tuli's a core guy. He's wired the right way. He doesn't
leave that building. He does. You're gonna find a way. They're gonna.
And Lowe, he's 23.
You better find. He's 23. He's
23. He's 2 years younger than Akeem Mesidor, who just got drafted. And Tuli is going into his 4th season. He is 23 years old. He will turn 24 on September 3rd. Like
23. Oh my God.
It's crazy.
He could be coming out of college.
He is probably, I would guess he is younger than 50% of their draftees. That would be my guess. That 20, well, no, because he's going to be 24 at the start of the season if it was a year younger. So he's probably younger than 2 or 3. It would be my guess. If he's, let me see because I'm going to go to the O-line guys.
3.
Let's see. So Logan Taylor, they don't have his birthday in here. Sorry. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude,
but that just goes to show he's got a lot of tread left on the tires. He's a young guy. You're gonna take care of him. Or do you say, you say, look, you're gonna come to the table again. We're doing a 4-year deal. At the end of 4 years, my man.
You're 27.
You're 27. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It'll get done.
That's a good problem to have.
And then Deion will come up after that, and I'll get Deion squared away. Those are the 3 they got to take care of this offseason. Get Derwin taken care of, get Tuli taken care of. Off-ball linebacker isn't it can be, some guys can get paid out there as off-ball linebackers, but it's not as crazy as an edge. No. So they're going to want to get Tuli squared away, and then it'll be Deion's turn to be up, and I think they'll probably try to get a team friendly because I think, compared to 2 years ago, he had a little bit of a down year coming off of 24 and 25. His 24 was better than his 25, but he was sick, had some issues at the start of the season that he fought through, and then came on. So I think they'll try to get that deal done too. You got the money, you got the cap space, just knock it out now. Yeah,
and all the fans before we get out of here, all the fans said the Chargers are too tight. Oh, why didn't they spend? Why didn't they go with free agency? Now you see why. They didn't, because they got to take care of their own home guys.
Yeah. You get Derwin, the highest paid safety. You'll get Tuli, a fat $30+ million a year deal, and Deion will end up getting in step with some of the top linebackers in the league. All right, Lo. Try to just keep an eye on the news as the media not going to be back out for a while, not till June when they do mini camp. So we got 1 day for each phase. Phase 1 1 day, phase 2 1 day, OTAs 1 day. Anything else comes up, we'll be on top of it. And most importantly, the Fullback Classic.
There we go.
June 26th, June 27th.
It's going to be a doozy, money. You're going to be there. It's going to be great. I got Jim Skipper, who coached me with the Saints, Kelly Skipper, who coached me at Fresno State. So it's crazy. I got the father and son both coming out. The great Jim Everts, Jimmy's coming out, hanging out. Jeff Garcia, Eddie George, Ricky Waters. It's going to be Sam Gash. Got a lot of great guys going to be.
Sam Gash.
Yes, Larry Sitters is coming out. I mean, it's going to be great, man. So excited. Yeah. I'm excited most because you're coming, money. I get to hang out.
That's not true. That's not true. You're excited to see me try to swing a golf club is what you're excited about.
That I am too.
Let's see this goofball try to make this work. Let's see what happens out here. Be sure to check it out. Lindsay puts it up here. If you're watching on YouTube, she puts the link up. Otherwise, get on Lowe's Instagram, and the PM Lounge Fresno is where you can find a lot of the details as well. But like you said, going to be up there. It's all for a great cause and great people, and I cannot wait to make my way up there. It's going to be a great time. I know I'm trying to coax my buddy who you connected with, former pro surfer, my man Heath, my man Nutty. I'm like, come on, dude, let's go. Let's get up there. Let's get up there. And
tell him, come on, we got him taken care of. Tell him, come on down, big fella.
Exactly. So we'll try to make our way up there and get some kooks to balance this thing out with you professional athletes. And looking forward to it. So be sure to check that out if you want to hang out with some great football players and the great Lorenzo Neal. Again, set your schedules because we're now under a month. We are officially under a month, 26th and 27th of June. We'll be up there. It's going to be a great time. You can come up and make fun of me, and it'll be great. So check it out.
Well, bolt up, baby. Bolt up.
That's right. We'll see you next week, Lo.
Cheers. You're the best.